This is the Powkiddy. Something weird is going on with my Powkiddy. What is that? This is a little emulator device that has all kinds of retro games on there. Basically all the games I used to play when I was a kid. Like Super Mario Land on the Game Boy. I spent many hours playing that game. It's kind of weird how much I still had it in my fingers, but there you go. I got this over a year ago. I actually reviewed it for this channel before I took the whole break. I think it was one of my most successful videos up to date. And after I posted this video, I got a lot of comments telling me I got the wrong device. Now, I don't know if that is necessarily the truth, because I am a very casual retro player. I just got this because I like those games that I played when I was a kid, just to occasionally pick it up and play a game or two. To be completely fair, this was the first time I've played this device this year, so that should tell you enough. Which doesn't mean I don't appreciate it. Now lately I've been in a bit of a nostalgic mood, so I decided, you know what, let's see if we can find a better device to play those retro games. And again, I'm still happy with this Powkiddy, although it is a little small for my big hands. I'm 6'7", 2 meters tall, so my hands are pretty big. So after a while my hands start cramping up. But other than that, fun, you can put it in your pocket, you can easily take it along. I do have to say that the emulation sometimes is a little weird, and the OS is not really customer friendly. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you need to keep in mind when you own one of these. I dove into my comments and I looked at which devices other people suggested. And one of them was the Anbernic RG35XX, which I got right here. Now there is an RB35XX Plus right now, but I got the old one. I'll explain in a second why. By the way, can they do something about these names? What is RG35XX? But anyways, I wanted to get this because I wanted to see what the people in my comments were talking about. Now, fun little detail before we get started. I think I paid around $100 for this one. This one actually cost me, I think, about $70 to $80, kind of depending on where you live and how much delivery fees you need to pay. Now, my main goal with these devices is just something that I can easily pick up, put in my pocket. And if I have to be in a waiting room or I'm feeling nostalgic while I'm traveling, I can easily take these out and just play a few of those old games. Not too much hassle, no special maintenance. Ease of use is very important to me. Now, there are a few other things, of course, like what games are on there pre-installed, and what does it look and feel like? Also quite important. But back to the reason why I got the XX and not the XX Plus. The XX Plus has a bigger screen, but from what I read, people have been developing custom OSs for these devices for years, because the standard OS is, as you would expect with a lot of these devices, including the Powkiddy, is not top-notch. It kind of lacks that usability that I'm looking for. Now, these OSs that the fans and the community have been making are actually so much better that Anbernic actually started pre-installing them on these devices, but not on the Plus just yet, for as far as I know. And I do think that by now there are custom OSs that have been developed and updated for the Plus, but you still need to install them yourself. Well, this one has it pre-installed, or at least it should be under somewhere, and I should be able to activate it. But if I like this one, I might get the Plus later, and then I can do an extra review to see what the difference is. Now, talking about doing comparisons, I also got this one. It's the Anbernic RG35XX. See what I mean with these names? Now, apart from it coming in a salmon-colored box, it actually is the horizontal or the landscape version of this device. So this one is meant to look a little closer to the old Game Boy, or closer to the Powkiddy actually. But this one has that more of a landscape view, which I think is going to be a little more ergonomic, because judging by the box, and we're going to see this in a minute, I don't think this one is going to be much bigger than the Powkiddy. So I might run into that same problem where my hands cramp up after some playtime. But I'm going to review this one in a future video. That should be coming out in 2 weeks. So keep an eye out for that. For now, we're going to start out with the normal, the basic version. All right, let me open it up. It is quite a sturdy box. That is always a good start. The device is right here on top. I'm going to put it aside for a second. These are some screen wipes. Wet and dry. That's kind of a nice detail that they add that. There's the manual. Oh, and a screen protector. And then there's a little box which holds, I presume, the, there we go, the USB-A to USB-C cable. The one that you use to charge the device. This is what it's all about, of course. The console itself. It has a bit of Full protection on the top. Oh, nice. I picked this color because it reminded me of the old Game Boy. And it goes really close. The color does. I mean, the shape, kinda. It has the same button arrangement. I used to own a Game Boy when I was a kid, but I sold it. And I kind of regret selling it. Well, not kinda. I actually regret it a lot. But you know, I probably needed something else. Something way more stupid to buy back in the day, so... Maybe one day I'll get my hands back on an original Game Boy. But for now, this will do. It actually brings back some memories. Now, as I kind of already presumed, the size is it's actually smaller. I'm not even kidding. Look at that. It is smaller. And I do think that the actual screen size is very similar, if not identical. Yeah. Now, one thing I noticed immediately, I don't know if you guys can hear this. The buttons on the back of this RG35 also rattle a little bit, but not as much as on the Powkiddy. And just the feel of the device, this really feels like a casual emulator device. I mean, it is plastic, it doesn't feel solid, the buttons really rattle a lot. If you compare it to this feels firm, this really feels like a finished product. I'm actually very impressed by the build quality of this device. Like, apart from the back buttons, there's not a single noise coming out of this. And the clicks feel way better. Like, these buttons feel a little dead, to be honest, like when you're not playing. But let's boot it up for the first time. So this is the layout of the device. Like I said, it kind of reminds me of the old Game Boy. Like the first one. Especially these colored buttons, the gray tone of the whole thing. It really has that feel to it. Especially if you look at that start and select button. That brings back memories. And that little grill right here for the speaker. Now, of course, you have the D-pad, you have your buttons, select start, and there's a menu button. But apart from that, there's a lot going on all sides. So you have the triggers in the back. This is the power switch, this is the reset button. And there's two micro SD slots. And then you have the volume toggle. At the bottom there's an audio jack and there is the USB-C port, which you use to charge the device. All by all, nothing too surprising, similar stuff than on the Powkiddy. It has kind of the similar buttons. Powkiddy divided to SD cards on both sides. You have the USB-C slot at the bottom. There's an extra one for peripherals. There's an audio jack. And then the same types of buttons on the front and the back. And the biggest difference being that the Powkiddy has these two joysticks on there. However, something that the Powkiddy does not have is this HD exit. That is kind of interesting. Alright, but let's boot up. You can see my fingers all over the screen already. Jesus Christ. So this is the normal OS, the basic OS, the one that they developed themselves, so not made by the community. You have the game rooms, which are just the categories. There's already quite a lot of games in there. And you have the vertical arcade, Capcom, Neo Geo, Neo, MAME, Game Boy Advance, the NES, which looked very different here in Europe, the Super Nintendo, the Master System for Sega, the Megadrive Sega. Then you have the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy, the PCE games. In the States they called them TurboGrafx, I think. Neo Geo, the Game Gear, and WSC, which is the WonderSwan Color, I think. It's a Japanese console that was released around 2000 by Bandai. Okay, this is weird. Let's do the search. Wait, the Mario games are not on here. What the hell? So it turns out the Mario games are not on here. Okay, that is a bit of a disappointment. In any case, let's do some Turtles then on the NES. I gotta be honest, it's not super easy to play these games with the camera in front of you, but that might be just a weak excuse. The Foot Clan. Always causing trouble. Yeah, that is a bad sign. But anyways. So as you can tell, the games run. There are definitely going to be issues if you're trying to load a game from a console that has a very different control scheme. Now, I did some research and the Mario games in general are not on this device. They're not preloaded on here. Now, I've seen a lot of people commenting on forums and whatnot that the best way forward is to kind of ditch all of the games that come pre-installed and to replace the SD cards that are in here. As you might expect, the SD cards that they use are not premium quality and it will break on you eventually. Now, to be fair, they said the same thing about the SD card that is in this device, and up till now I've not had an issue. But, you know, but it isn't because I haven't run into the issue that it doesn't exist. That was the standard OS. Now I want to try that Garlic OS that is actually installed on here, but you need to do the switch. Hope everything goes well. So this is the option. It's in the menus on the last page. Under the firmware version, you find the Switch OS. So we're going to give this a try. Hopefully I don't break the device. Fingers crossed. I'm so nervous. Yes. The screen has gone dark. Currently it does not seem to be switched on. I presume I have to restart it and then the new OS will be loaded. There we go, Garlic OS. It's just that simple. Use this to navigate. Open. Back. And favorite. This is where you can switch back to stock OS. These are just all the options. We're going to go out of this. Oh, this looks nice. This looks pretty. Cores. So these are all the categories as I mentioned them earlier. So this is the Game Boy Color. Wait, what? Oh, you can change cores. Oh, okay. That is new. So this is not the categories, these are the cores. I guess it kind of is the system, the core system that it uses. That sounds like a reasonable explanation, right? Woo! There are definitely more advanced options. Clearly. You can set the themes. Oh, that is... You can get the old Windows boot logo as the theme. That is nice. Cyberpunk? The cyberpunk style at least. Yeah, that is a neat feature. There's apps, there's the arcade, and here you have all the categories of the yeah, there we go. If you go to the right, there's Game Boy, Double Dragon, Mega Man. I mean, it's all the same categories that we had on the other OS. But anyways, this looks neat. Oh, this is kind of nice. The recent, your favorites, the consoles, and RetroArch. Oh, okay. Can I go back? Yeah, you definitely have way more options in Garlic than you do in the other one. The other one is a little safer, to be honest. I do think I'm going to stick with Garlic though. I know at first those options are kind of scary. You're kind of worried that you're going to do something wrong, but over time you'll figure it out. You have more options, but once you get in the game, it just is the same game. It's the same ROM that is getting loaded. Alright, I'm not going to show a lot of the games right now. If you want to see some of the games, let me know. I might make some shorts showing off the games. But this is mainly about the device. We all know what it looks like. And as you can tell, it does a pretty good job. I do think some games will load a little faster than others will. But I think all these older systems like a Megadrive, Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I think anything up to a PlayStation, you're quite safe with this device. I think PlayStation might be stretching it at times. Man, this has been a while. Oh, I don't even know what the finishes are anymore. It's been too long. But yeah, this runs really smoothly, and I presume for all of the Mega Drive NES games that will be the case. I'm glad I got this one. At a later point, I'm going to do a comparison of all the devices I got, and we'll see if I still like it as much and which is my preferred device, and just overall if I still like any of these devices. I still play them. I think that is important. But for now, I am quite impressed. I think this is going to be in my pocket a lot. I think I'm going to drag this along everywhere. Or, well, maybe it's going to be this version, the Edge version that I'm going to take everywhere. We'll see. I'll do a video on this one really soon. I am very curious now. But overall, thank you guys for the tips. Thank you for the advice. I appreciate it. And I think you all had a valid point. I still like my Powkiddy. I still think it was a good start, but maybe it's time for an upgrade or a few upgrades. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.